side, as we said. Out of range on the defensive side. Kazna crew on the offensive side. What do you make of this start, Mojo?
Kazna definitely lining themselves more for a one cap. Ilian is taking this land hole, we can call it, on B0 defilate. But they are very cautious because they don't want to fall to some big rush. That's why they're so centered. But at the moment, out of range doing a pretty peculiar disposition of tanks. We see Deha and one more guy down, covered just by new multi-show in a corner, and other 4 tanks are top. So they're kind of split off and susceptible to some rush from Kazna.
Yeah, Deha and call me Piotr, Mojo. What is the plan here, you think? Because these guys are going very aggressive and Haiba is waiting around the corner.
This is kind of blind push, and I don't really like it because it can end up really badly for them. But now they finally realized Kazna is there, so they're falling back because they do not want to get countered by, I don't know, maybe 5 unspotted tanks because they didn't spot anything yet.
Yeah, call me Piotr getting pretty lucky there. Only losing his gun in the 50B. It's annoying, but he could have been taking a lot of HP damage here. Now, Kazna's final plan, we talked about that IS-7. They want to get in that 1 cap, realistically speaking.
Definitely out of range, not using a light tank or an RT will have a tough time to decap. So Kazna's logical move would be to put an I-7 there, but first they will try to control this area. They need to make a perimeter, a firing line of all the tanks around before he even enters the cap, because otherwise he can be decapped from the left side. It does seem out of range is actually willing to let them do that, which is kind of odd, but that is something that they are planning, I guess, because I have no other explanation why it's out of range giving so much of the map.
Now, Eurofish has entered that capture circle. Kazna has a pretty good control over that D7 position. Now, the question is going to be, how is out of range going to approach this one? Because resetting that IS-7 on the cap, it's not going to be very easy for them.
Let's not forget, guys, that several teams were kept so far here because they were late on rotations and they were ignoring it by far. At the moment, nothing specially happened. HP is equal, all the guns are still in a game. It's just like a small chessboard. Everyone is moving around to get that extra corner before the final push.
Komi Piotr taking a little bit of damage there in his 50B. Has to be careful. Ilian in that C0 position. Has a decent line of fire towards that. Keep an eye on that capture circle. Now already going down to 68 seconds and out of range at one point is going to have to make a move because they need to reset that base. Yes, it's slowly but surely, but at one point their final push needs to come out.
They will definitely time they'll push together with New Multi. New Multi will have to push along the red line and get straight into Ilian. He will also need any kind of info from his team. Did Ilian fire some shot? Because that could give him a crucial advantage. But now New Multi is spotted and Ilian is still pretty safe there.
And it looks like there is the push from out of range now, pushing forward, pushing Kazna back. Nexus already taking a lot on this one. Stefan trying to clip in a 50B, has to be careful. There's a lot of guns aiming from there. Komi Piotr in return also taking a lot. But it doesn't seem like out of range is about to stop here as they know they need to push forward. A cap now down to 25 seconds as well.
25 seconds is a low value, but it is not that difficult one to interfere. There is just much more guns of out of range here, but they're all stuck on one corner and Kazna is everywhere left and right, so they have time to buy. Stefan is dead, Kazna is dead. Wow, there is quite an exchange. Yeah, New Multi-Show as well, taking a lot of damage here in that bad side. He knows he has to get out of there. Dezek drops low as well, and now all the tanks from out of range are practically surrounded by Kazna. Ilian in that bad side now also coming around. Nexus in that 50B, trying to control Eurofish here in the IS-7, still doing a lot of work. Multi-Show now coming in as well, and Santi's trying to get Haiba in return. Vetso now pushing forward as well, takes a lot of this. It's not over yet for out of range. The HP is fairly close, but now Ilian coming from the side with that full HP badge, that could be the difference as Kerov goes down as well. Multi-Show does pick up Eurofish, but it looks like Kazna edging forward in this one. They're really slightly ahead, I would say, but New Multi-Show surviving there and killing Fishy is actually quite surprising for me because he was on full HP and New Multi was on one shot. So I guess, was Fishy even blown up or was he just shot from too many guys? Fishy wasn't real low when Multi-Show rushed him, so I guess Multi-Show got on his side and picked him up, but not much to be done from Multi-Show in this one as Vetso is now pushing forward. He wants to pick up the kill, as he does, and that's going to be it. Kazna crew picking up the first round, Mojo. Finally picking a round on Ghost Town. I bet they're happy now. They did it. Success. That was a fairly weird round from out of range, I'd say. Letting Kazna take very easy control over that cap, and after that, a lot of teams playing defense for some reason take a really slow rotational approach. We we said, we've seen some teams that are actually getting capped because they start the rotation and then the offense team just sends 4 or 5 tanks to them suicidally and put more tanks in a cap. So they just finish the cap before they're even in position to decap. Out of range was not that far off, so they were taking care of it. But we saw at one moment, New Multishow dropped HP on one shot. Why did that happen? Because he was actually the guy who had to reset. No one else was in position, and he took a whole lot of pounding to do that.
Crucial play from that round was from Ilian and his Batcha staying full HP till the end and then coming up and cleaning most of the out-of-range guys up.
Yes, I didn't like initial position from Kazna guys because they were trying to play cooldown with 50Bs. 50Bs are cute tanks. I mean, they're really fast rotation and nice cooldown, but they are practically paper compared to the other kinds of armor. And when they put them there on that cooldown, they didn't penetrate all the shells in the start. And that's why Kazna was actually in such a problem. Because I think they gave them like 1500 HP minimum free from start because they didn't pell shells and out of range just penned 50Bs easily. That's why Nexus had to run away.
Luckily enough, they could call me Piotr in return, but let's take a look at stats. We can see who is very crucial there in that round. And it's going to be Ilian in that batch, as we said. And then Nexus in his 50B.
Just keep on farming, boy, for me. I like that. Ilian is in our fantasy teams. But ignoring some of the names here, Vetso doing pretty nice after coming from vacation, even Fishy.
Yeah, even Fishy. And a lot of Kazna players here in the top 7. Only Senti Mojo, and Raging Potato. And those FE215Bs doing what they can. And here we can see the real issue for out of range. Decha, Piotr, those 50Bs.
Honestly, Decha was announced as one of the biggest reinforcements for out of range, but I've seen him in more than one game where he did quite some mistakes.
Now, yeah, Decha, I guess he still needs to find his footing in the team, or maybe feeling completely comfortable yet in the team.
Well, the language should not be a barrier. They are speaking Polish.
That shouldn't be a barrier at all. Yeah. Now, moving on to the next round, though. Now, out of range is going to be attacking. A lot of teams actually like Ghost Down attack because if you take control over that one cap, it's fairly easy to close it out.
Well, Ghost Down was devised by Wargaming specifically as esports map, and thus the map that should not really give any kind of advantage specifically for some team. So Ghost Down, yeah, it's one of the favorite maps because of that to everyone, because you can attack.
Let's take a look at the lineups here. Moving into our second round between these two, we can see out of range that Object 416. It's a very telegraphed pick in reality.
They're keeping to their standard because they used it previously. So that's a small tank that you can stick in any of the caps and just focus defense around it.
I'm not a great fan of the Gorilla on Ghost Down. We've seen it been tried before, also on the Russian region. We don't...
He's usually climbed guys where you usually climb a light tank in the corner of the map when you're a defender. So from there he can unspotted shoot if you are pushed, and you can use some HE shells probably for the cap pick.
Does look like our game is ready, so let's get into it. It's going to be the second round here between Out of Range and Kazna crew. And Mojo, how about already boosting Isne?
Well, Isne had some rough time last match. He actually failed the climb. Maybe he feels like he needs a helping hand.
Needing a helping hand here. As you can see, that Gorilla from Isne does make it up, gives him a very good overview position. That tier 10 tank destroyer 750 alpha. If you get hit by that one, it's going to be pretty bad. And out of range,
it's going to be as bad if he gets spotted. If he gets spotted, it's going to be a bad time for him. But there you go. Decha and Call Me Piotr are pretty much on similar positions like Kazna took last time, just much faster, I would say. So much faster movement here from out of range in attack. Default position again by New Multishow, same as Ilian took, and there we go. One guy is going in a cap.
Kerov though, already getting shot by that Gorilla, and now Isne smartly backing off. Kerov already down to 372 HP. I don't think this is the start that out of range would have hoped for.
No, definitely not. And he's hiding behind this rubble, but if Isne sees even a small part of him, he can just shoot him with AP, or he can break the wall and then finish him off. It doesn't really matter, but he's moving away. He's definitely moving away, so he will not try to do it from that angle.
You just take the higher angle and try and reset from there, we guess. But somebody's still going to have to spot Kerov, and out of range here, they need to have a better plan than this, as, you know, Kerov, he's probably going to die to Isne at one point as Haiba makes the boost. Very nicely done. Now, what does out of range do to get out of here? Because Karol, he is going to die as soon as he gets spotted.
Interesting positioning from Kazna, quite an unexpected one. It's instead of gathering up, they're actually preparing for push of out of range. That means that they are convinced that reset will come without any problem, and then they will be pushed by out of range. Fish is using his cooldown there perfectly and panning for almost 500. That's quite a high roll.
Nice shot, another nice
my
shot from
God.
Eurofish, completely outplaying Dezek in this one. Now Haiba moves forward, he doesn't spot Karol, so Isna might have to do some blind shot on that capture circle. Karol in that 416, great camo. Now Eurofish is slowly but surely edging forwards.
Oh, what a lucky shot. This was not even named. This was just a snap toward Dezek. Dezek like has a big paper target over him.
Now Karol did get spotted, and we'll have to see if Isna can land the shot. Gets hits by Haiba actually, so Karol now down to a one shot, and there is the push from out of range now. All of them moving towards that D-line. Karol just left behind. It's going to be Senti and Desha on the front line here.
It was Isna's shot actually, but never mind there. Kazna anticipated the movement of out of range perfectly, and their push, and look at this. Damage done is outrageous.
Yeah, but call me Piotr gets absolutely wrecked by the entirety of Kazna, and they can't really push through this anymore. Desha does pick up Isna, and for now trades are going pretty even, but Kazna still have the superior position behind this corner. Out of range has to make the move. Multi-Show taking a lot of damage in this one as well. Karol going down in the meantime, and Kazna slowly but surely winning the damage trades here.
We knew that it's a weak spot. When Grilla gets spotted, he dies. We know that from all the other matches, but damage done to out of range by that time is really high. The only problem Kazna had was Ilian getting tracked, so that's why he fell so low on HP, but actually out of range is starting to go back in the game.
It's not over yet. Nexus in that 50B is still on reload. Eurofish here smartly trying to block, but Desha comes around and picks up Nexus, and this is actually starting to go backwards a little bit as Eurofish is the next one now with that damaged ammo rack, but Stefan and Haiba from the side trying to do what they can. Have to be careful in this one. Eurofish is a two-shot. Stefan's on reload. Haiba, not sure if he has any shells ready. Raging Potato should be able to pick up this one, and it's actually looking good for out of range, Mojo.
Oof, Fish is playing really well, but he's alone now and he cannot be held by anyone. That's why they're leaving him for Raging to finish him off with his high DPN alone, and Stefan and Haiba are completely alone now.
Now Stefan is still on reload, and Multi-Show doing what he does best, doing some chipping damage here onto Stefan, who's almost off of reload. But still, Decha, 1.2k HP, it seems like they want to take the overmatch on new Multi-Show, but Multi-Show is not going to fall for this as he repositions, and everything fell to pieces for Kazna crew here. Isna, you could see there in the corner, got spotted in that grill and taken down. Should have probably repositioned.
Yeah, he was already on the way down. We saw him die there, but it was too late. It was just too late. Instant he got spotted, he died, and that was a gun less in the fight. No matter how everyone else well performed, it was just not enough firepower there in a moment.
The bounce from Desha onto Stefan, though, pretty lucky in that one, and it isn't over yet as Desha is now on reload. Stefan realizes if he picks up Desha here, 422 HP, and he does!
Brilliant!
And the clutch from Stefan so far, and now it's all onto Multi-Show, and Stefan and Haiba are two shots. Great play coming out there from Stefan.
I would say he's compensating for everything that went wrong for him in TW gaming match. But new Multi-Show has a full clip, one shell less, and he's coming for them, and they're both in reload. This is a huge problem. He can actually kill them both.
He catched Haiba here. If he lands a shot to Haiba, but no!
Ooh.
Haiba does it, swinging that turret and picking up the round there. Now 2-0 for Kazna. That got close there.
That was
but
a roller
Haiba,
coaster of a
that
match.
was a full turn snap, and then half a second
I
more.
think even
a
he helped
Multi-Show
him because
had
he
it.
tracked him, and then he managed to turn a gun instant.
Now it looked good for Kazna, then it looked good for out of range, but then Raging Potato and Desha, mistakes.
Yeah, we were expecting here a huge matchup between these two, and these are really close games. But out of range managed to do such an advantage, and then just throw it off on bad positioning and not covering each other, not counting the reloads. Like Kazna really pulled themselves through. I don't know.
Why does Raging Potato try forward when he knows Desha only has 2 shells left? Desha only has 2 shells left. Why is Raging going towards that corner? Multi-Show can easily spot if they try and run away.
It was a really bad communication between them, because by that time they had a gun advantage, HP advantage, whatever they wanted. It was just how they communicate to finish the game, and they didn't do it.
Great shell counting by Stefan, though, and let's see how much he managed to do in this one. Great shell counting. He realized Desha was on reload.
He bounced that one shell.
You can see Stefan here, 4.1k damage. Great performance from him, redeeming himself from the Wild Bunch match.
But we should also mention here, Decha is finally performing well, and Raging Potato, but Fishy was doing really well on that 1-1-3. He was doing really well and holding off, doing the damage all the time. I would say he performed in that 1-1-3 perfectly.
Dezek, call me Piotr. Not really working out for them there. Especially Piotr, he just disappeared in an instant.
Dezek got annihilated by Fishy in the start, taking 3 shells for nothing. And then being weak link in their team, he just got finished off when the fight started because he's always the priority target.
Now, Kazna, where they didn't manage to pick up a single round against the Wild Bunch, now they pick up 2 rounds against Out of Range.
It's quite a comeback, but a lot of games on Ghost Town we've seen lately were really close like this. A lot of HP exchange, and then someone survives on maybe 1 to 2 shots. But at the end of the day, it's not you don't get a medal for being nice or trying to be good. You just see victories at the end of the day.
Now, one of the questions is, how is Out of Range mindset going to be after they said they tilted a little bit in their match against Rusty Roster, being 2 rounds down, and now against Kazna crew as well?
Well, we know they can come back. We've seen that. We've seen that. But also maybe some deja vu flashbacks from the last match will not suit them well. I hope they have a nice atmosphere because they need it now. They really need that comeback.
Let's take a look at the lineups, though. Coming into our next map here, it's going to be Murovanka and Mojo. Anything surprising here?
Oof, Kazna playing with Grille. That's a new one for them, I would say. Definitely.
Out of Range, fairly standard on the defensive side at STB for one line, E5 as the anchor, as you like to call it, the damage soaker.
90 spotter and whatever. But Kazna is playing in attack with the Grille. We've seen many teams use it. You can be this lineup of fast French tanks. You can go on any side. You can go on top cap and put him on a red line and defilate, or you can just go in woods and put him on a hill so he can cover snipe. So they can really choose an opening as they wish.
If you remember from the match against Legend, Kazna also played Muro, but got pretty lucky that Legend didn't have anybody in the bushes. But more about that later, as it does seem like our game is ready. So let's get into it. Kazna currently 2-0 up. Let's go into Murovanka.
Murovanka, a map with a great number of buildings, bushes and trees, amongst which teams hide for most of the battle. The attacking team begins the battle from the top of the village, and the defenders start from the bottom of the map. Both bases are better controlled from the hill near the first base, and from the green in the lower left corner of the map. There are many attack directions. The attacking team often attempts to gain the attention of defenders by putting pressure on the first base, whilst manoeuvring several tanks behind the second base to deliver fire into the defending's flank. Team setups are very diverse, but the players often choose the fastest tanks, even for heavy setups. They could even bring SPGs.
So there we have it. Kazna crew now currently 2-0 up against Out of Range. And again, Kazna moving towards that eastern side, Mojo.
And already going for the forest. As you said, it's one of the 2 logical things they can do. They're leaving Fishy alone, so he can trigger the 6th sense of Out of Range, so they wouldn't actually know how many tanks is there. It's really important because that way they're kind of limited in movement. They can expect a trap or what kinds, because a lot of clippers, there is a lot of clippers in the game, and if you leave just 3 of them there, they're enough to massacre several tanks.
One of the really important questions is, what bush is Karolf in now, and is Kazna going to be able to figure it out, as we've seen them before play
Looks like
Murovanka?
a cross bush.
Looks like the cross bush, yeah. I have to see that one for Karolf, which one he is in, but we've seen Kazna at Grand Finals play Murovanka as well, with a similar style like this, and it didn't work out at all, just because of one spotter.
Yes, but you can... this is a problem now. When you play with tier 9s, you really don't have who to suicide to try to dig him out. It's kind of a problem. But Kazna can slowly feel him out, and this Grille, if he actually manages to find the 3090 tower, he will feel it. Painfully.
The first bushes Kazna blind firing is the bush left shot used against him.
Yeah, definitely. But
there are still bad memories there.
But new multi here is just in position, not so much to spot. He can see the red line only from here, but more to cover and fire, because when he's behind so many bushes, nice connections on Haiba.
Haiba already overextending a little bit in this one, even overextending more. Multi-show has him lined up. Haiba now down to 83 HP, gets out of there, but already Kazna down 1 tank pretty much as Haiba goes down to 83 HP.
How many games will he open like this? This is really not well, because a lot of games lately are starting like this, where Kazna the Haiba gets caught off somewhere.
Now I know who Kazna could send to suicide.
That would be a short suicide. I don't think he would see even the bush that he's supposed to spot. But never mind that. So much sturdy lineup by Out of Range. They have a lot of tanks they can use for rotations. From those mediums, they have Anchor, E5, and STB. So in this approach, I kind of feel that Kazna should have maybe played 1-2 line better.
They like to play this eastern side, but it's so hard to clear out those bushes now. They have probably put a lot of training in this, and Stefan's blind shot was pretty close, but still at 30-90, you know, you could be blind firing the exact bush and still going past it.
But even if you hit him once, what then? Like, he doesn't move, you have to actually connect him with two
Yeah,
guys.
it's very hard to realize that you're hitting him, unless you have Artie, which can check for it.
So we see Vetso and Nexus are blind firing, they're trying to dig him out together, so they're okay, we are shooting this bush, that bush. But still, even being in a bush, you can miss him for 1 millimeter. And what then? And one connection is not enough, you need 3. And he will not move.
Now pay attention to this timer as well. And another thing I'd like to talk about is the fact that, yes, Kazna couldn't blind shot him, but Stefan is the only one that can really reliably do it, as the other Batchas, if they keep wasting clip after clip, they're going to run out of ammo at one point.
Yeah, also, let's remind that Kazna had a really good game on Murovanka, but it was against
That was
a
more Legend.
And Legend was playing completely passive,
Had no
with
spotter.
outdated setups, and rather bad play. Rather bad play. So Kazna was actually not challenged on Murovanka ever since. Maybe they won it 2-0, but it was a bad play of another team. Now they're actually facing a team that is doing this quite well.
I don't know what the stubbornness is from Kazna. We're coming towards this eastern side. You know, we've seen them do it time and time after again. Sometimes it works, but that's mostly because of teams making a mistake. Now, Karol, he's not in one of the obvious bushes. He's not in one of the obvious bushes, and there's so many bushes that you have to blind fire, and it takes so much time, and you don't have the clips for it. And you see that went over him.
Really
Oh,
close.
looks like
There we go.
looks like Ilian found him, and there you go. Stefan does pick up Karol now, 5 minutes down, and they finally managed to do it.
This is a crucial moment, even with the Haiba on such low HP. Haiba can always line up his shots from some far behind, because now they can actually put pressure on the cap and start triggering it, because that's the way you play this cap. That's the only way you can play this cap. You trigger the cap, you put 1 or 2 guys there, and then defender has to respond. You cannot spot the cap from far away. That's why everyone uses the lights on the open spots, and you have to approach. Once you approach, you take shells from the people who are actually applying pressure, Kazna in this case. So who best those rotations now, he will win the game.
Now Kazna, Vetso seems to be the one they're going to be putting on the cap, and it's going to have to be on out of range to make a move here at one point. You can already see the rotation towards the northern side. Now, you can already see the counter rotation pretty much from Kazna coming out. They also realize this, that the most common play is coming towards that northern side, and even Isna now. They're leaving the K-line completely open.
It's really risky if someone would actually push the K-line. He's susceptible to shots from the forest, and you cannot really return the fire in favor.
Even with Haiba there, if anybody rushes it, Haiba is dead instantly.
Yes, but he's now, at this point, he's kind of expendable. Also, I believe they will use him just in one moment to boost the cap like a block for a Vetso. Probably so Vetso would not get shot. That's why he's staying so close, because he will beat that guy. Everyone else who has HP are in crucial positions, so they can do their clips and even run away if needed, so they can do another one. That's important. The HP-wise, out of rage, he is in lead, but that's not a crucial lead. That can melt away in first 10 seconds of conflict.
Now here comes the push coming out from out of range, sending Call Me Piotr first in that E5, the one that has to soak the damage, and Multi-Show and Raging Potato moving towards Isna here. Now it's going to be very crucial how out of range decide to use their shells. Isna gets spotted here. That tier 9 Batchat doesn't really stand up to the tier 10 version of Multi-Show. Isna seems to be the first one on the chopping board, but Multi-Show in return should be going down here as he does. Ilian is the one to pick it up, and it's not looking good for out of range, but Ilian in return taking a lot as well. But Stefan picks up Raging Potato. Does not look good for out of range.
Yeah, Stefan really picking his targets today. He's sharp as ever, I would say, and really wants to win. Out of range, using by far now. We already said the damage is done once you have to push. You are in inferior position and you're taking shells from every side. Look at this. Now they're 2000 HP behind and they were 1500 ahead. That's quite a difference already.
Yeah, but Call Me Piotr does pick up Haiba here, and Stefan in that Grille, not in the best position here, takes 1.2k damage, and If you look at it, the HP has been evened up, but a lot of that is on Piotr. That E5 carrying the bulk of the HP here. He's trying to chase down Vetcho as well. Stefan landing a nice shot in the back, but Santi should be able to pick up Stefan. Piotr now, next is coming from behind as well. He's going to go down here pretty quickly. If he
I
could
think
pick up...
Stefan will get caught right now.
Yeah, Stefan does go down here to Santi, and Piotr trying to fight with Vetso and Nexus at the same time. He needs to pick up one of them in reality, as he doesn't. Both of them survive here, so it's Santi, Dezak, and Desha versus 3 guys from out of range.
What's the big problem now? I really don't understand that kind of solo push by him, but yeah, Deha is dead. He was on 50 HP and he TVP, the crucial tank for this kind of game in this moment, and too low HP to survive in Santi. As a guy, as a single shooter, he cannot really deal with any of these clippers. Even if he's now one-on-one, he cannot win the game anymore.
And Eurofish lines up the shot and takes it. And that's going to be it. Kazna crew now picking up their 3rd round, and it's starting to look a little bit like a landslide here. Worried in the beginning, but once they picked up Karov out of range,
it's always a gamble a bit with that light tank. When you put that light tank in a bush, you are expecting to do huge damage, which they did. And there can be entire 10 minutes, guys, that you're shooting all around and that you just don't find him. Kazna, after several minutes of methodical shooting, actually managed to find him. And the first shot he received 2 more after it immediately. So they were really paying attention. Yeah, they were really paying attention.
They were probably systematically clearing the bushes.
Yes, we saw they were timing like from bush to bush. 2 guys were shooting the one bush all the time. So if one from different angles. So if one of them misses him, the other one will get him, and then everyone else will shoot him if they see a connection.
Now again, it came pretty close in the end there, but you can take a look at stats in the meantime. The push from out of range. I mean, with the time left, I feel like they should have pushed somebody across the K-line instead. Now they just pretty much drove into the crossfire from Kazna.
Well, they just chose to go on a more direct approach, a centered approach with a lot of tanks on same spot, which is okay. Because once we push someone on K-line, he can be shot from really far away. This way, it was kind of a surprise. They tried to maybe take out one guy, Isne. They were hoping he was not that well covered, but Kazna was just playing exactly that hand. They were expecting exactly something like that. The moment out of range actually pushed there, we saw Fishy, who was covering the flank, already was on the way to shoot him. Already.
So that's going to be it. That's going to be Kazna crew now 3-0 up, Mojo. Starting to look not good for out of range. It's been close so far, but out of range failing to close out any rounds yet. Now, they're going to be on the offensive side. And can they do it? Can they do it is the question.
Well, Murovanka, that's one of the comeback maps they had against Rusty Roster. So we know they can do it, but we also know how much they can throw. So let's not debate that. We should really see their lineups and check out what are the opportunities of both teams, because we said they're similar in skill. Kazna is just more seasoned at the moment.
Kazna so far just showing that they're able to close out the round a little bit quicker, a little bit more efficient than out of range. So let's take a look what we got for our lineups here. Moving into our 4th round, and Mojo, the Crusader SP makes its return.
Okay, so we have an artillery and a bit heavier lineup on out of range side. Those 2 E5s means that they will definitely push for the north cap. You do not play the lower one with those. They are just sticking out too much. But Kazna is trying to use a trick that Swift attempted against them. So Swift was playing that Crusader Tier 7 artillery, British one, with a small gun. It has a huge mortar angle, so he can actually control their northern cap.
It does look like our team's already here. Let's move into it. Our 4th round between these two. Can Kazna make a match point, or is going out of range, going through, come back one more time? And here you see Crusader SP, who goes quicker in reverse than he does forwards, but out of range, fairly common start, not very aggressive.
Best artillery to run away with, definitely. And Isne is playing arty now. That's a new one. He's usually playing light tanks and so on, but Haiba was the one playing the artilleries.
Ilian already taken one shell there. Had to repair as well. Now, we've seen Dezek play this artillery piece before. If he can land some crucial shells here, it's going to be important. But again, the thing we criticize Swift for is also the thing we're going to have to criticize Kazna for.
They did not have the spotter in the field. That was the demise of Swift, actually. After a decent plan, they just did not have any control over the 2 cap. They were just playing for 1.
Eurofish, though, he seems to be somewhere in the field, but not very aggressive.
Yeah, he's not too aggressive, so I guess he just wants to cover the part of it. But they're definitely more prone to defend than Swift was. So on the one cap, honestly, they don't even have to spot that much. They know where to shoot.
Now, what is the plan here for out of range? Because all of Kazna crew are sitting very, very far back. You know, just waiting for out of range to start that gap.
You can see that fast reload of that RT that Kazna is playing. It's probably 7 seconds on tier 7 because of that gun. But the funny thing is, it's really slow when it's going forward. He actually managed to damage Keref.
But he will take him down slowly but surely, you know? Like, watch, he's in his shell. He's lining it up. Nice shell from Karolf in return, though. Let's see how much Isha manages to do with his shell. I'm very, very curious. 61! Oh.
Yay!
So like 29 more shots and
And he checked him and damaged his fuel tank.
maybe he'll set him on fire.
That would be a day. Like all Bison is back. But
At the same time, 3 guys on the cap.
yes, they know that they can actually afford it now because Kazna still didn't start to rotate. I hope they will not bring their great grand final game when they got capped without even seeing who is capping them. But never mind.
Well, I mean, it could happen here because the entirety of Kazna crew is on the 4 line. If out of range realized this, now Karolf is pushing forward and spots nothing.
Taking a
Now
lot
out of
damage
range
there.
is moving forward as well. Yes, Decha has taken a lot of damage, but they're moving again. Nobody's going to be able to spot the cap for Kazna as it looks like 3 seconds left, 2 seconds left. Okay, they do get the reset here, so stabilizing from Kazna. A little bit worried there.
That was Izn's reset, 142 damage. But here you go. All-out brawl must start now because both teams are without any other choice. Haiba in the front line here with E5. He had to push to play the cooldown, but he's out of the game.
Haiba now goes down. Decha is low in return, but Alien comes from behind. Really nice push now. Multi-show seems to be the next one. Great push from Alien. And Eurofish taking him up as well now. But still, out of range. Fairly good in this one. They control the base as well, and Stefan is left alone there. And nice shot from Arty onto Alien. Great shot coming out from Dezek.
Oh, Kazna is definitely, I think, losing this one because of Alien losing this HP. They were 4-on-4 on guns, but the out of range was just in better position after Kazna clipping out to chase them and shoot them. Now we are in position, we have Izne, who is better runaway Arty than shooting Arty, and only Fishy alive next to him, facing 5 guys of out of range.
Those E5s, you can see the strength of them. When Kazna crew had to push into them, they couldn't really deal with them. Now Eurofish trying to do what he can, using the house as cover against Raging Potato, but that's only a matter of time here. Raging lands a nice shell. Can he do it again? One more, and Dezek in the artillery.
Strikes again.
And it's just Izne, that Crusader. And he misses the shell, and it will be Piotr picking it up now, bringing the scoreline to 3-1, Mojo.
Well, definitely that RT is kind of interesting gimmick you can play and you can really rest at that cap, but overall firepower is missing, and firepower is something that Dezek gave to his team.
One of the things I felt was missing in that round was Kazna crew, Haiba was very far back, he couldn't spot the cap, right? And then they had nobody one line, and Karolf was just fairly comfortable sitting there, and as soon as they put 3 guys on the cap, he drove forward, peeked over, saw nothing, and they readjusted, making Kazna Haiba had to commit.
Kazna was trying to avoid the fate of Swift, who completely denied, didn't play the lower cap, and they were just outplayed because of that. But by doing it, they actually ignored the other cap for no reason, gave all kinds of openings to out of range, and practically gave them a game because they had to suicide to decap.
They had to suicide to decap. We can look at the stats here for that last round, and we can see Raging Potato. I mean, looking at the damage, is very, very even spread.
It's pretty even spread between all players in both teams, so I would say nothing special. I think Dezek even did less than I expected, 1400. I thought he's in the range of 2k minimum, but it's that kind of the game. When damage is flying around, you cannot really judge.
I would say he did some crucial damage. Here we see the real issue for Kazna. Alien, Stefan, Vetso, Nexus, Izne.
The Holy Trident on the bottom.
The Holy Trident on the
Not working well. Not working as intended. Well,
but Dezek's damage was crucial damage because he hit Haiba in that E5, who was meant to soak up all the damage. Took like 600, 700 off of him in that E5.
Also, he shot Alien while he was trying to run away, leaving him on practically 1 HP, something like that. Yeah, Dezek is
That's
a
the
guy
issue.
who proved in a lot of games that he really knows where to aim with Arty. So everyone can click, but very few guys actually know where to aim and wait for the shot.
Now that's also the issue with bringing that smaller RD. You don't have the damage really to, at the end of the game you could see Dezek, he was doing great things, but Isne, really, the Crusader is just
What can
tickling.
he do? Like, what can he do? He can only pray that someone will maybe turn his back to him and he will do, instead of 100, 200.
Now, out of range, 3-1 down against Kazna. We can move into our next match here. Looking at the lineups, what we got is going to be Prokhorovka. And again, M40 and Grilla.
Pretty interesting setup, but of out of range here. I would say STB in defense and Grille and M40, something we've seen them play before. A multi-line defense, I would say it. And 2 1-1-3s. It's actually identical, and with this lineup, they went and defended Forest, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, they defended the 1-2 line against Rusty roster. Was fairly effective, but if you remember, that was the round Shepseshenian had a DC.
Yes, that was a really bummer, but I think they would still win, even like that, because they still had 4 tanks surviving. But never mind that. Kazna, going back to old roots, playing with Ru, we haven't seen them play that in a while. Isne was playing it before on various tactics they played, and they did it really aggressive.
Does seem like our game is ready here between these two. Let's move into it. It's going to be Prokhorovka.
Prokhorovka, one of the first maps in the game. Teams start at the regular spawn points as they do in standard battles. Bases are separated from each other by the railway, so the defending team has to choose whether to send their vehicles to the left side, playing them in the centre, or to the right of the railway, occupying the hill and a part of the village. The attacking team usually attacks the first base. However, the teams often go for face-to-face confrontations, 7-on-7, in the hilly terrain at the centre. That's why both teams frequently use vehicles with good gun depression angles and sturdy turrets.
And as you can see here, welcome back to Prokhorovka.
I like your Prokhorovka voice, Ducky. Almost there.
But a fairly, actually out of range, changing it up completely from what we saw them do last time, Mojo.
Yes, this is kind of a play they lost that tiebreaker with, going to the village side.
Mojo, don't say those kind of things. Bad memories. But Isna has to be careful in that Ru. Raging Potato already lining up the shell. If he gets spotted.
Oh, look at Nikki, Kazna. All the bushes are there, and they're definitely waiting in a trap there. Isna is doing aggressive approach. This is something that Kazna used to play in old school games. Isna doing those kind of spots, and then everyone else following. Maybe they're trying to bait out of range, thinking they're doing the same.
Now, Kazna crew repositioning towards the 1-2 line. Nexus already getting out of there. Now, I don't think out of range is going to fall for the same mistake like they did last time. And they have that RT to reset. So what is Kazna's plan here going to be? Because Karol is still over the rails, so fairly easy for him to just spot the cap.
Well, definitely out of range is not buying anything. They're just holding their positions. They finally realize they do not have to overcommit when you are defending. There is a lot of time to judge your movements. I do not like that Grille where Raging is at the moment. Yes, he has nice distance shots, but in my eyes here they should have taken a sturdier tank.
Now, a lot of tanks from Kazna crew still ready for that 0 line now. Out of range has to be careful. They don't fall for the same mistake they did last time. Nexus is waiting there in that TVP, and Isna as well. Now, Karol here, if you're wondering why he's sitting in the bushes, he's just waiting for Kazna crew to start the cap.
Yeah, he's the guy who will be the first one to decap, and to do that he cannot actually go over the rail because he will be shot from several sides. But there is no big rotations for Kazna here. They're really taking their sweet time here.
Raging Potato in that Gorilla. Fetzo got close enough to spot him, landed a nice shell. Now rotation, standing Senti, moving Raging more back. I like this. And at the same time we can see the readjustment coming out from Kazna crew. They're leaving Vetso, they're leaving Eurofish. Maybe they did suspect one of the 113s being there and starting to recommit towards that southern side.
Well, Kente didn't get spotted here, so they might suspect there is no one there. Vetso was probably too low down at that moment, so he even didn't have the vision. But Kazna seems to be finally forming up to push from the lower side of the map. Now that cannot be that good for them because actually out of range has really great cover fire for those angles.
Out of range in a very good position to cover this. Isna here trying to land some shells on Deja, but Deja is in a 1-1-3. It's going to be very hard to punch through that armor. And call me Piotr is in a bush as well that spots that south. If Kazna does not decide to drive over the red line, they will be spotted out, and still feel like this might not be the greatest thing for Kazna.
No, when you push like that, you are always praying to gods that you will be missed, because if they connect their shells, it's GG already.
Kazna does have an HP overmatch slightly. 1.2k HP in favor now. Next to Stefan, Elin, everybody from Kazna crew pretty much on that rails, and Karolf here has to be careful. If he decides to drive up, Vetso will get a pretty nice free clip.
Well, Kazna is hoping that out of range will do the same mistake they did against Rusty Roster. I'm gonna refresh the memory of the people. They saw a solo tank there and they pushed him, but Figo and several of other guys really did their damage on them, did a number on them. They lost practically 2 tanks and lost the game in a counter push. Now they're not buying the bait anymore. Also, Kazna, when they played Prokhorovka, they left Haiba here in one game alone, and Haiba barely ran away on one shot from that moment. Oh, there you go. Stefan is going.
Multi-show only managing to land a track shot onto Stefan. Has to be careful here. A lot of Kazna crew waiting in the bushes. Nexus landing a nice shot as well on the multi-show. Pretty much overstaying his welcome here now. Even Elian moving towards the rails, trying to get a shot here now. Karolf is moving, and that could be pretty crucial if Vetso decides and manages to spot this.
New multi actually must stay there. He has no choice because he must give them info, is someone approaching or not. If he just leaves and gives the hill away for them, then their entire tactic is falling apart. The tactic is relying on his teammates shooting them as they're trying to push him.
Now Karolf here don't really like this position, as if he was spotted, there would be a very easy overmatch for Kazna. Now Eurofish here, taking one more shell in return. And the HP still slightly in favor of Kazna, but I feel like the big part here is going to be Karolf. If he gets spotted, Elian and Vetso could choose to overmatch, and that's a free 1-1-3.
Well, it's still a really slow game, guys, because it's a lot of stake for both of them. Kazna will have a match point if they win, and out of range will be in a deep trouble if they win. So they are all really relying on their tactics here. No blind pushes, no play without info. And there is not that much info, because occasionally you just see 1 or 2 tanks here and there.
Now this is what I like from Karolf. He realizes the potential for this as well, and he's repositioning towards these bushes. Good play from Karolf. I like this. Now Multishow still has to be careful here in this bad shot. Oh, Isna gets absolutely wrecked in the RU-251. Goodbye, Isna. And so long.
That's quite a advantage now for out of range, because Isnes was used as a forward proxy, as a light tank with the best camo value. Now Kazna, for any kind of information, we have to risk higher tier tanks. Now this is really important because time is ticking away, guys. Kazna has only 3 minutes either to cap or to kill them all.
Kazna only having 3 minutes here. Karolf now slowly getting shot in the back. As we said, Vetso still waiting in those bushes. That 1-1-3 has to be careful. Damaged ammo rack as well now. Kazna has to be slow, has to be quick about this one in reality, with only a little bit of time
left. Let's not forget that out of range also has artillery, so capping one cap is not gonna really happen.
Capping that one cap is going to be very hard for him. But Karolf here taking even more damage as Haiba is just pushing over together with
Ooh,
Elian.
Deja's getting shot a lot.
Deja's getting shot, blown out from that hill pretty much, and now Kazna crew seems like they find the advantage, but Stefan in return taking a lot of damage and still out of range. With the amount of time left, are looking in a good advantage here. Raging Potato taking a lot in that Grilla as well, though has to be careful. Nexus in that TVP now gets slapped as well. And Call Me Piotr seems to be wanting to take the overmatch there. Stefan is not a factor right now. Deja needs to survive as long as he can. Nexus in that TVP decides to drop off. Still has a little bit left on reload. Piotr is very vital in this round.
A very good play by both of them, I would say, but Nexus already managed to run away, and he is a TVP, guys. He can clip out Piotr much faster. 1.5 seconds between the shells compared to 2.7 by Piotr. And Piotr only has 3 shells. Should be enough for Nexus, but he has to hit all.
Elian in that STB picks up Raging Potato, no. And now Piotr misses the first shell here.
That means he can't kill him anymore.
Means he can't kill him anymore. Senti now drops down to Eurofish, and it looks like Kazna crew might just be able to do it, as it's just New Multi-Show and Piotr left in this one, as Piotr getting pounded here. 1 shell left, and still too much time on the clock here, as Kazna crew can still reliably cap the base.
This is a really slow play by Kazna, a slow and tedious play, but it was required. The defense of out of range was well made. If Kazna went recklessly anywhere, they would get annihilated, so they needed to make all sorts of crossfire to dig out single positions one by one and make them pressured from all the sides. That's why we haven't seen a major push anywhere, guys, because it would end in vain.
I feel like this was a fairly big throw, though, coming out from out of range, as Multishow is the last one standing, and that's going to be it. Stefan picks it up, now bringing Kazna crew to match point, and Mojo, I cannot agree with what Karol did. Vetso, that was just Karol throwing away a free 1-1-3.
He gave a lot of HP away for nothing there. That was quite easy to see. And really, he was the only guy in his team in most dangerous position. So when you're playing something like that, you must remain unspotted as long as you can.
Yeah, there's no reason for him to drive to the rails. He could just stay in the bushes and be unspotted.
Stay there and be a part of scenery as long as it's needed, because otherwise, when they see him there, they know he's the weak link, because he's the only guy on the other side of the rail. It's logical that they will press for him sooner or later to make the advantage and then deal with the rest.
So out of range was in a fairly good position there for throughout the round, but a few misplays costing them a lot there. And I don't know if I can agree with Piotr, full HP. The only guy in his team really to be able to do anything, trying to chase down Nexus and Stefan.
Yeah, that was already kind of a lost game, and he was probably mad and trying to catch one more guy. But Nexus is far too experienced guy to fall easily like that. He ran away on time. He was half a second ahead of Piotr every moment.
Take a look at stats though from that last round. You can see exactly how it went down, as it was Nexus and his TVP doing a lot of work there in Alien and the STB. Pretty crucial place.
Finally, everything working for Kazna. 3.1k, Nexus, Alien 2.5. Good plays, good positioning, and if they played like this against TWB, we would not even talk about possibilities of weakness of Kazna.
We can see Dezek in that artillery piece, 0.
Yeah, it was a horrible position for him. He barely had any spots, and I would say the only spots he maybe could have connected the shot on is like hill, but they were spotted for a split second usually, and not on the same spot.
Now, out of range has been in this situation before.
Been there? No.
Been
They were 0-4.
Was it 0-4?
0-4.
I mean, that's even easier then
It's
for
easier,
them.
easy peasy now. Now they might even win the tiebreaker.
I mean, they have already one round extra, so...
Yeah, so what's the problem? I don't see it.
I mean, but realistically speaking, Kazna crew of a little bit higher caliber than Rusty Roster, some might say.
Yeah, but we would say they were also higher caliber than TW King.
The punches.
The punches are real, but in this game they're redeeming everything, because the play they are showing now is much more steady. They obviously refreshed their views on the game.
Now we could take a look at the lineups coming into our next round here, which might be the final round. Out of range again, going with that Grille and 2-9 bad shots.
I don't know about that Grille and attack. I really don't like it, honestly.
Let's see though, our teams are ready. Let's get into it. Kazna crew still on match point, out of range. Now need to come back. They really need to close out this round. And Kazna crew moving towards that forest again. This did not work out very well last time, Mojo.
Kazna again doing the B tactic. My god, Dead Zone was actually not lying.
Rush B, as Stefan is already the first one to take a lot of damage here, even bouncing a shell here. Stefan taking even more. Piotr takes one shell in return though. And again, this is not a great start from Kazna crew. Yes, they're trading a little bit more damage here, but Eurofish is spotted. He should be taking a lot here, as call me Piotr. But there goes Eurofish, and there goes Eurofish, spotted and blown up. And a great advantage for out of range coming into this round. Now Alien also in a lot of trouble here, and Kazna, again, that 1-2 line strat now not fully committing, but still not really working out.
Like, seriously, why are they playing Forest again after that humiliating time last time? They already lost 2 tanks. Piotr though, and Deha. Deha already dead and Piotr on one shot. That could be the only way out of Kazan, because they're still slightly ahead of HP and they still have 5 tier 10 tanks alive.
Yeah, the HP now even again, as Raging Potato misses that shell. That would have been really crucial. But again, they have a lot of clippers left though. There's 3 bad shots there, the 2 tier 9s and the tier 10. Piotr will just snipe from the back. I mean, Kazna has to be careful in this one.
if they're pressed, all that Rage needs to connect is one shell and one guy will die because of the focus fire. Now they left Piotr here as the forward spotter with his 15 HP. I don't know, can I really rely on him to do that? Yeah, he's totally in the corner, even behind TD. Never mind that.
Now the entirety of Kazna crew deciding to reposition. Out of range still has that tank advantage though, so they could put somebody on the cap and be fairly safe with that one.
Well, Kazna has to run away. They realize that, so they're trying to clear the village side now. The only way for them to actually get out of this alive is to make some damage while someone is rotating the map. But out of range at the moment is taking their sweet time because they do not want that to happen.
Now out of range is staying on this F line very long, and they're also repositioning towards that eastern side, and we could have another clash here. Multi-show just spotting out Haiba.
What an unlucky timing for Haiba. If Multi peaked 3 seconds later, Haiba will already be in a bush and unspotted, and they would have no clue where he is.
Now Ilian spotted a lot of these out of range tanks, and this match is super close now. Kazna trying to go for a spread control here.
Honestly, this is not super close because if they push Haiba, the match is already over. There is no one who can help him. Nexus can fire 2 few shells, but that's about it.
Yeah, Nexus in that TVP will be the first point of contact if they do decide to go for it. Here, Vetso trying to control that hill and
If out of range realizes that Vetso is on a hill and that there is anyone out of the position, they'll just go on Haiba immediately and try to kill whoever comes to help him.
Now, they might be waiting for Piotr and Raging to position themselves to fire any cross shots onto Kazna. If they do decide to make that push here, Piotr needs to be careful.
Piotr and Raging are making a crossfire here. I don't think Piotr will even try to spot something because that would be suicidal and gun less immediately for no need. Multi got checked by someone.
Yeah, Multi, Vetso landing some shells from the side, gets spotted. A nice shot from Raging Potato, and Vetso overstaying there a little bit, drops 1.2, does do Amorak damage to Senti, but really not worth it as he's now down to 218 HP and gets blown up by Karov. Vetso, those shells, yes, he did some damage, but not worth it.
Not worth it, and out of rage reading Kazna really well here, outplaying them this game. After a lot of games, it looks like they are late starters.
I mean, your spotter should not be the one shooting where Vetso was. Got spotted and instantly blown up, as we expect from a team like Out of Range. They're not going to miss those shells. Now, this is starting to look bad for Kazna crew in this one. 2 guns down. Raging has a good position. Now, Piotr will reposition as well. And Haiba, yeah, he has a lot of HP, but he's also the only one in his team. Nexus, yes, but he's only a TVP.
See, he's also a single shooter. And single shooters do not prevail in this kind of the game when you have so many clippers.
Now the entirety of Out of Range will reposition. I like this from them, not overcommitting right now, taking it slow and steady, not giving Kazna crew away back into this one. Santi has to be careful though with that ammo rack. If he gets blown up, oh boy.
I don't think he's that much of a jinx unless you keep talking about it, then he might just fall off a cliff and get ammo wrecked or whatever. But definitely out of range, playing cautiously. This is a match point for Kazna. They are very aware of it. Everything is in stake for them in points wise. So they're doing smart rotations. Maybe even too scared because they should have pressed Haiba by now much earlier. Especially since they saw the guys that are on the hill.
Ilian here in at STB trying to land some shells. Santi now pushing forward actually against Haiba. Has to be careful in this one. Haiba though getting set on fire by Raging Potato, and he doesn't have a fire extinguisher.
Fire.
You can see him just tick down slowly, minus 1.3 KHP pretty much now. Yes, they're trying to shoot Raging Potato in return, but Raging only needs to land one more shell as he does, and that is Haiba done and dusted right there, and now it's looking even worse for Kazna crew.
Ilian taking a punch here. If you remember the misfortune or Antic, like he totally lost the match for Swift, I think, there.
Now Nexus does pick up Raging, but this is more of a consolidation kill than anything as Dezek comes over, lands the first shell onto Ilian, and he should be able to pick him up as he does. And now Nexus and Stefan, the last one standing, and Out of Range finally stabilizing here a little bit, and a lot of individual mistakes from Kazna crew.
I would say Kazna really did not need that wood play again, especially not with so many offensive tanks since they have Isne on Ru. Why wasn't just Ru spotting for them?
Some
They
hill
just-
jumping from Piotr.
They just threw 2 guys away for nothing there.
There's going to be Nexus down as well, as now Stefan is the last one standing. Picks up Piotr. But there is 4 more left, Mojo, and I don't think he'll be able to do this one, as he does pick up
You
Carol.
can't do it, Stefan. Just 2 more reloads.
I mean, if he does it, it'd be amazing. But, I mean, there really shouldn't be any option for him anymore in this one.
he can kill maybe 1 more guy, and then he's in reload, and whatever happens, the other Clipper will just get him.
You see Dezek here in that tier 9 batch. Going to be the one to chase him down. Stefan gets spotted. Dezek is a 3-shot. Nice shot from Dezek. Stefan lands one on multi-show. But multi-show will just reposition and sit safe, sorry, as Dezek will be the one to push forward, and Stefan doesn't even have the shells to pick him up. Misses another one. Only 1 shot left, and should be Dezek to pick this one up as he comes forward. Lands the first. And there comes the second, Mojo.
No ramming speed.
No, I was really hoping for the ram as well. I was like ready for it. Ram him. But still, out of range does it now. Bringing it back to 4-2, Mojo. And that would play it again. I mean...
Well, the comeback is real.
Also, Eurofish shooting from inside the bush?
I don't know, like some really rookie mistakes. He played some games so far really, really well. But again, this whole tactics was pointless for
He could
me.
have taken a lot more damage there as well, because they were all spotted.
If Kazna stood far, far behind and let Isne do the bush spotting and then they took some shots, I will understand that. But
I don't know what's their obsession with trying to make these plays in the wood, like...
Pirash,
That's on tactics.
Pirash,
Rush B, no stop.
yeah. I will not say what I actually want to say now.
Be careful.
It was a certain Russian word.
Mojo,
We will not go there.
we want to keep our jobs, okay?
We will not go there.
Okay. But now Kazna crew is still on match point, obviously.
Yeah.
And moving into our next map, which is going to be Cliff.
Cliff,
Had to,
we
had to
just
cheat
checked
there
it
for a
out.
second.
Yeah.
Now, Cliff is a map. I think Kazna crew.
We've seen Out of Range played on first match day against Kneckerbrood. It was a kind of a quirky game, but we saw that Out of Range can react really well on it, can rotate and read the game, and also can suicide on a bad call. Kazna didn't play it yet this season. Last time they played it was Grand Finals against Murikans.
That
Some
didn't, that,
Eastern
that even,
majors.
even that wasn't that great. I remember that match.
That was a roller
especially.
coaster.
That was more Eclipse showing against Kazna. That would have been a tiebreaker.
Yeah, that was a real roller coaster of the game, a tense game. Everyone liked it, except
Except Kazna. They
Except
don't
the
have the
Clips.
best of track records on Grand Finals on Cliff, though.
yeah. But okay, they played a couple of times ESL majors, but that's another
But
story.
that's still personal skill. I'd have to favor Kazna just slightly in this one.
I think they have really good movements there, but I just hope they will not get over eager in some moment, because we've seen them, even if you remember last season when they were counter pushing Wombats, they pretty much annihilated them, and then they fell in crossfire from two budgets and lost 3 tanks.
Gonna have to see how Kazna crew in this one. Now, like I would have liked to see Out of Range pick up at least 1, maybe 2 more rounds in the beginning, like that, especially that ghost down round, and we'd be on a 3-3 right now, which would make this match a lot more exciting.
That would be a full tilt.
So the scoreline could have easily been 3-3 at this point.
Cliff is really tricky. I mean, taking 2 games from Kazna there, I don't see it happening. I really don't. I think they're just too good for that.
It's gonna be very hard, to say the
I mean,
least.
Cliff is by far from all other maps most like hardest brawl map that relies on personal skill the most.
But I know these guys from Out of Range, they like Cliff. We can take a look at the lineups here moving forward. They like Cliff. They like to play it. At least I think they like to play it, because they picked it again. So, I mean, you know.
Well, Kazna is defending here, and
I like their lineup.
yeah, their lineup is really balanced and all clipperish. So fast lineup from Out of Range, Ru. Inevitable Ru in attack. Most people use it because he's probably the only fast enough tank to spot the 1-2 line safely.
On Cliff attack, you kind of need that tier 8 light to spot.
Yeah, but in defense, you don't.
And in defense, you don't. So Kazna crew, smartly picking those tier 9 bat shots. Let's hope they don't boost one of them on the 1 line.
They
As
don't
we've seen
have the
before.
grill, so it's all good.
They don't have the grill. Now, Kazna crew, I'm wondering if they go full aggressive in the middle. I think they want to play more passive, really.
I think they just need to take their positions like really quickly, but not push into. Kazna is known to push into their enemies on cliff, but it's a cheese they've done once too many, and I think out of range would be prepared for that.
Let's see if out of range manages to do it again as we're moving into cliff.
Cliff, the most dynamic map in the league. Battles on Cliff always turn into desperate double-edged fights. Teams start from the same spots as they do in standard battles. The first base is located near the defender's spawn point, and the second is at the bottom of the hill. Sometimes teams split their forces and send several tanks through the 1-2 line to the left of the small hill, but usually both teams play at the center. The attacking team can send one of the tanks up to the lighthouse or behind it. Fast and quick-firing vehicles are better suited for this map, mainly medium tanks, including tanks equipped with autoloaders.
There we have it. Kazna crew still currently up 4-2. A very aggressive middle push from the Mojo.
A lot of out-of-range guys coming from the south. They were pretty much all in, so if there is 2 or 3 guys from Kazna there, they can annihilate them. That's why they even left one behind. But Kazna going for the hill. Full
Kazna though, already taking 1.2k damage in that tier 9 Batcha. This is not the start Kazna crew was hoping for. That tier 9 Batcha now down to 423 HP and out of range starting this round off very good.
Did he just not perform the climb on time? So he got caught?
He was a little bit slow to do it. I mean, he was a little bit slow coming up the 4-line ramp, which slows him down by 1-2 seconds, which is the 1-2 seconds you know you kind of need.
Well, you're the climbing expert here.
See it the same. Oh, the very aggressive push coming out from Kazna crew already as they are sending their entire team towards that E-line, and Kerov and Desha are not going to be in this one.
This is a brilliant read by Kazna because they just left those guys, Deha and Kerov, on a hill to fend for themselves. They don't care about that, and they will catch anyone who is downhill now. Deha and Kerov actually have to run and try to save their friends, but Isna will shoot them in that process.
Out of range, trying to do what they can. Vetso now dropping low already. Multi-show and Piotr are the first one down here, but you don't fit Vetso. Isna very low still. HP now back in favor of Kazna crew. Vala actually managing to stay alive. Good move there from Vala. He knows he needs to pick up Vetso. It's going to be very crucial. Vetso on reload. Isna also on reload. And Kazna crew, they're not out of in the safe zone here. They're trying to chase down Raging Potato, yes, but they're all on the lower side. They will have more guns. Nice shot from Raging. Does land a second as well, and it's still looking okay for out of range in reality.
Out of range is bringing some HP back now. They still have 4 guns in the game compared to the 5 of Kazna, but let's not forget, out of range are the guys who will be in reload very soon. Though Kazna has the lower positions, they're still in advantage with HP and they can rotate.
If Carol can pick up Isna here, as he doesn't, would have been very crucial here now.
That would win them the game.
That
This
would win
shot
them
would
the
win
game.
them the game.
Now Isna in that batch has to be careful. Stefan and Haiba are a non-factor in this. They're very far out. Desha, Vala, Dezek all seem like they want to take the overmatch against Elian, who just gets caught in the open pretty much. Now Vala also pushing forward. If he can pick up Elian here, he misses the shell, and Elian's going to be the one to pick it up. Very crucial from Isna and Elian. Elian now has 3 shells left, and he wants to take the fight against Desha. Misses the shell though. Now Stefan comes in.
But he picks up Dezek.
He does pick up Dezek now. It doesn't look good for out of range in this one anymore. If they manage to kill Elian, would have been okay, but now it's all on to Kerov and Desha.
We were talking about that little details and personal skill here. Well, there you go. Live and well, Elian definitely brought an advantage here for Kazna, and Isna surviving that one shot from Deha definitely proved them very valuable, because look where he is now. He's pestering them all the time.
Now Haiba coming from that 1-2 line, and it doesn't look good for Kerov and Desha in this one, as Kerov is the one shot. Desha does have a lot of HP, but Haiba, who's moving in from behind, could ruin their entire day. Elian does get spotted here. Desha shouldn't be able to do much against this. Now Haiba coming from behind Mojo. That will be all she wrote pretty much, as now Haiba is coming in. Lands the first, lands the second. Desha trying to do what he can. Lands the third. Now should be able to pick up Desha here, as he doesn't.
Oh my god.
As Elian picks up Desha, and it's all on to Kerov here, who manages to pick up Elian. But
no, Isna. Elian is still alive.
Isna. And now Elian and Stefan. It's going to be Elian and it's going to be Kazna crew that do it. And that was a great counter push.
Wow. That was really good read, and that's kind of specific for Kazna. When they see an opening, they just go for it and they go in instant. You saw entire team rotating immediately. It was a really good read on Deha's and Kerov's movement.
I mean, out of range, I don't want to say Kazna. This is exactly what they've done before, actually, in ESL Major. I recall it because they did it against,
yes.
against us. We kind of should have expected this might be coming out from Kazna crew, and nobody's spotting that.
Kazna with such a lineup, this
But there was
lineup
nobody
is
spotting.
made.
There was nobody spotting that line. You always need somebody to at least spot
This,
it.
this lineup is made for counter-attacking. It's literally made for it. So you do not allow the movement over the map unpunished.
That like 3-second warning, they could have all gotten out of there.
Yeah, or at least made a better cover fire. I mean, honestly, the game came much closer than I expected because they did put up real fight there. I think Kazna actually was even lucky in one moment. But attacking with 7 guys on 5 guys and losing so much HP, that quite surprised me. So that was really brilliant focus fire, but out of range. But it was just not enough. They were lacking those 2 tanks.
They were lacking those two tanks, and Kazna crew will do it. Mojo got very close at times again. It doesn't look like Kazna is going to be as dominant as we expected them. This could have been a very close match. It could have been 4-3 at this point for out of range as well if some rounds went the other way.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda, but it's 5-2 for Kazna. Close rounds never count. At the end of the day, you even don't remember them. It's all about victory, and Kazna has the one in their pocket.
Well, they needed those 3 points.
They really needed them, same as out of range. But Kazna is back on a track now. The battle with the TWB will be an ugly memory. They will remember for a long time as a reminder for themselves not to fly too high.